Hey everyone, I'm Victory Reviews, and at our last pit stop, we discussed and analyzed Book 4's first episode. Now, before we get into the meat of this discussion, I'd like to first thank you all so much for the positive reception in the last video. With all that said, let's move forward to our next pit stop and discuss Episode 2, The Iceberg Car. The last time we saw Ryan and Mingi, they jumped headfirst into the train. However, as we can notice, Ryan was the one to head in first, forcing Mingi to chase after him. This will no doubt be a point of contention in this episode, as in a way, the two getting in the train can be seen as Ryan's fault. Whether it's Min blaming Ryan or Ryan having some sort of guilt over the situation they're in, they are definitely building up to what's assuredly an emotional confrontation. Waking up, the two encounter their first denizen, a floating bell? Yeah. Say hello to Kez, a rather offbeat and quirky character who will take up the role as their companion guide throughout the rest of the train. As some of you may know from my video analysis of Book 4's trailer, I wasn't 100% on board with Kez. My impressions on this character were mixed to say the least, but now that she's a part of the Infinity Train roster, I absolutely love her. Kez is iconic. Her brand of offbeat humor along with her lethargic demeanor really creates a rather unique blend that leads to an all-around charming character. She reminds me of the cliched Californian Valley girl, but like not totally annoying.
I thought you were dead. I was trying to see if your breath would fog up my face or whatever.
And that's one of the great things about the writing in this show. This character archetype can be easily botched in execution, but clearly these writers knew what they were doing, as Kez is simply an absolute delight. What's almost as delightful are Ryan and Mingi's responses to seeing Kez. The utter shock and befuddlement shared between the three is priceless. Right off the bat, we're reminded just how shocking it is to wake up on the train, almost paralleling Tulip's arrival on the train, as we find the two in a rather chilly environment as well. However, one clear distinction between these two events is the immediate horror felt by Ryan and Min. When Tulip first arrived on the train, she had a rather nonchalant attitude as she wasn't exactly sure of the circumstances she found herself in. However, Ryan and Min are almost immediately caught off guard by these same circumstances. A lot of the scene seems to harken back to the original concept of Infinity Train. For 2 whole seasons, we followed characters that were already on the train, so it really does feel like the show is reminding us of just how mind-boggling this process can be. Before the two can figure out what exactly is going on, they encounter these zany yet ticked off fish creatures, who are especially mad at Kez, who of course just brushes it right off. What an icon. Rushing forward, the three happen upon the train's exit, which is frozen solid. This is when the train's gimmick comes into play, an aerospace dial, a device that changes the environment and the creatures within the car through rapid evolution. Which is honestly such a cool concept. I find them playing with this dial, changing the environment and the 3 creatures chasing them into different creatures, to be an utter joy to watch. I really love this concept as it is just a ton of fun and offering a bit of a puzzle solving element that the train was known for in Book 1. This leads me to believe that Book 4 as a whole will begin to breathe in an air of levity for a series that had been progressively going through darker and darker phases, as what follows is an extraordinarily fun sequence of events that sprinkles in some of the needed character drama by the end of it. The trio managed to escape only because Ryan and Mingi begin to fight over the dial, reminding us of the dysfunction within their relationship. The two fighting each other to solve the train's puzzle quite literally goes against the train's purpose of growth through learned lessons. Something that Kez was less than eager to point out.
Do enemies have figured out that dial thing together?
Well, I mean, yeah. Cause you didn't figure it out so much as fight over it until it randomly fell into place.
As the recent turn of events go south, Min begins to blame Ryan for even getting them into this predicament.
You bought the tickets.
Dude, for the normal train. I didn't go to the metro station and say, "Hi, 2 tickets on the wormhole judgment line."
Well, I definitely didn't have anything to do with this.
And on a superficial level, this can be viewed as completely justified. However, I'd like to counter Min's accusation here. I don't believe Ryan jumping into the train's portal was entirely his fault. As we've seen, the train pulls up at a person's lowest point and seems to have an almost hypnotic effect that pulls passengers, almost forcing them to climb aboard the train. Whether this is true or not is honestly up for debate, but what we can pull from this moment as a viewer is that Min-gi blames Ryan for the situation they are in. This is when by far my favorite scene in the episode plays. Ryan and Min-gi don't want to confront their problems, choosing to rather lie to each other in an attempt to ignore their deep-seated issues.
We weren't fighting.
Yeah, we were just... I don't know. We were just talking.
Totally, it's just that you don't really know us.
Yeah, we're fine.
We're great.
The awkward expressions and prolonged vocal deliveries only drive home just how broken these two are. Them saying you don't know us is really them talking to one another. Ryan doesn't know Min like he used to, and Min-gi has become so distant from Ryan that they're at the point of unfamiliarity. Despite being together, it really feels like the two of them have never been further apart. As the reality of the situation begins to set in, they have these horrified expressions. The two realize that they're still stuck on this huge train, that they are stuck on a huge train, and it is a deafening experience. The silence shared between them, followed by the shocked and horrified expressions, really amps up how horrifying it would be to find yourself on the Infinity Train. There are so many unanswered questions going through your head at such a rapid-fire pace. It's no wonder these two react like this, which is a far cry from Tulip's initial reaction, and a far cry from any of the reactions we've seen thus far, showing the true terror between Ryan and Min-gi, as the two will have to work together and fix their own issues if they ever hope to escape the train. One final bit of dialogue I'd like to analyze occurs at the butt of the episode. I'll just show you.
Let's not stress about dials or trains or numbers or anything. Sometimes numbers are a part of the problem, not the solution, you know?
I find this quote to be surprisingly poetic, as Kez is absolutely right. We have seen through every book that focusing too much on your number can be self-defeating. Tulip had an obsession with understanding what her number meant, only to end up moving past from it and become stronger for it. In book 2, numbers were literally the problem, as Lake wasn't allowed to leave the train unless she had one. And I mean, book 3 really speaks for itself. The Apex was built around Grace's flawed notions of what numbers meant, leading to a bad time all around. Numbers can very well be a problem, and I find it very interesting that it's Kez who says this. Could it be that she herself has witnessed the problems numbers can have over passengers? Has she seen a passenger overly obsess over a number? Or is she simply saying this as a bit of an offhand comment? What relationship does Kez have with passengers in general? Because she said she wasn't one to explain the rules of the train, which she did quite poorly, I might add.
Okay, so it's like, okay, so you're in like a secret pocket that opened up in your world and you like climbed inside and it's like in the pocket. Whoa, here's some keys, here's some lint, and here's like an iceberg or whatever.
The fact that she knows that she as a denizen must explain it means that she's encountered passengers and must have had personal experiences with them. Either way, I am extremely excited to see where this journey continues. And we'll get to do that in our next review and analysis of...
Well, if it ain't our old friend, Cactus Kez.
The Old West Car. Before leaving for our next pit stop, please let me know what you thought of Book 4's second episode. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe if you want to see more videos like it. And if you leave a comment I especially enjoy, I'll feature it at the beginning of the next episode. Well, that's all for now, guys, and as always, don't forget to keep on keeping on. See you later.